is a show that focuses on the person behind the brony. I'm your host, OsakaJack. Please sit back and relax as we talk to this week's guest brony. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Into the Spotlight. This is your host, OsakaJack, and today I have with me somebody whose name changes more than the calendar does, especially if you're following her on Twitter, but I have Miss Nami.
Yay! Or for those currently in the know, Namu.
Oh.
Little nose tap and nod to that crew.
How are you today?
I am fabulous. How are you, kind sir?
Oh, not quite fabulous, but I am doing well. That's good. Well, anybody who doesn't know you, can you give them just a quick rundown of who you are?
Well, for those who do know me, I would like to apologize. Thank you for putting up with me. And for those who don't know me, I am Nami. I am an artist on the internets, just like a bunch of other people. That's fine. I dabble in a podcast. We are actually coming up on our 1-year anniversary, December 21st, 2012. Yeah, so right around the apocalypse is when my podcast will hit a year. That's exciting.
Yeah, very nice.
And interesting fact, I do webcomics, but I've currently put my project Tattered on hiatus to work on the project that I am working with my co-host on Podbean, which will be Jazu the Wanderer.
Okay.
Yes, it's all very exciting. And I love ponies, so I do some pony art. It's actually one of the first fandoms I've really done, or I've been involved with, because I have, I do like other things, and I do fan art once in a while, but ponies has it's owning my soul, and that's fine. I welcome my new pony overlords, and I am eagerly awaiting season 3, which will have aired by the time, or which will start airing by the time this is aired. So season 3, the me from the past says hello in the future.
Now, and I know that I know that you've done pony art for Full Papers. You did his character twice, I think. Is that right?
Yes.
2 times?
Yes.
Once was Buried in Books, and the other was the time that he was forced to sing Becoming Popular.
I think he claims he was forced, but we all know he was secretly excited.
Yes.
I'm just going to say, Full, I'm sorry, I'm throwing you under that bus. Actually, I also did an icon for him way back in the day, like when I first started to know him. And I thought, I'll just be nice and choose a random person and do an icon for them. And I was actually hoping to do that more than I did, but then I got buried under books and was unable to continue that. So hopefully in the future that can become a thing again. But yeah, I sent him an icon just going, hey, don't know if you even want this, but here you go. I hope you at least appreciate the gesture that is behind this, and I hope you have a lovely day. And he ended up loving it and had it for his icon for a while.
Yeah.
So
the similarities to the song are quite significant. Hey, I just tweeted you, and this is insane, but here's an icon for you, so retweet me maybe.
No, it wasn't for that. I find doing, I actually find fan art as a way to kind of, it's kind of like a gateway. It builds a personability with someone. Yeah. So I was actually hoping to have that also start a conversation with him and be able to become better friends, because I had enjoyed his tweets, and I just thought he was a wonderful person. And I was like, this is someone who I would actually really enjoy getting to know on a more personal level than just someone who I randomly retweet and sometimes mentions me. And so, yeah. So maybe some slight insidious planning behind that.
Wow.
Oh no, you're airing all of my dastardly plans.
Haha, you've fallen into my trap that I just now planned. Honest. Yeah.
I know. I think we should just turn around and blame Full Papers. That's the logical step.
Yeah. Has that trended yet, or is that still just a minor thing that everybody does?
I'm sure it's a minor thing that everyone does, but one day.
Yeah, someday. Someday the world will come together and blame Full Papers.
Oh, that delights me in ways it should not, probably, but that's fine.
Well, I touched on it briefly, but honestly, I have never met a person who changes their name in Twitter quite as often as you. It's not a slam. It's not necessarily a slam.
Not, no.
It's just that every time you change your name, you change your icon as well. So I'll be scrolling through my feed, and I'll see something random. I'm like, who the heck is what the? Oh, it's Nami. Okay, I got it.
I will admit, I actually got into the habit of doing that after I did a cleanse. Like, I tried that horrific master cleanse diet,
Okay.
which I have to say, do your research on, and I am neither giving props for or against.
Okay.
So if you decide to research that, make sure you do your due diligence. And I am not a doctor, so anything I'm about to say cannot be held against me in a court of law.
Right.
But I attempted to do that because I thought, I could really use a cleanse. Maybe this will help with some issues. Maybe it won't. It'll at least be fun to try. I more did it because I love eating, so I wanted to
Okay.
see if I could beat the whole hunger at its
Right.
game, and I did. So I was successful on that
Good
front.
for you. Good for you.
But when I did the cleanse, I also decided to do a social media cleanse because I realized I would probably be the grumpiest ever because food is delicious. So if I am
Yes.
going to not have delicious food and just be drinking cayenne lemon water for a few days, you probably don't want to talk to that version of me.
Yes.
So
I think Margaret Cho said it best. She said, "You don't ever mess with vegetarians or vegans because they are hungry."
Exactly. So, if you take away my food, I get very cranky because
Mm-hmm.
food is delicious.
Yeah.
Enough said about that. But so I decided, I should just not be on Twitter. I feel like I'm getting a little obsessed with it. It's becoming one of those things where I'm just always checking to see who's updating, and that's starting to rule my life more than I would like to admit. So I went on, the social media cleanse as well, and it was actually wonderful. And I highly recommend that everyone take a social media cleanse and just spend a week. And when I say that is how I did it was, I allowed myself to check but not respond because you have to wean. You can't just do this stuff cold turkey.
Right.
Because that's just destined for failure.
Mm-hmm.
So what I
Well,
allowed myself
technically, I
was,
mean, since you did the food cleansing as well, you did give up cold turkey. Cold turkey.
well, yes, with the food, yes, it
Yeah.
was. I gave up cold turkey, and it was very sad because
Okay.
turkey is also delicious. Oh my
Absolutely. Oh, okay. Anyway.
That aside, well, no, so I allowed myself, okay, you can check and you can stay up to date so you know what's going on with people's lives, but
Right.
after we're going to start saying, you can only check every hour or every 2 hours, and then I just started spacing out the window, and I waited until it got to the point where I felt the need to not check for over 24 hours, and once I hit that, I knew, okay, I am free from my social media slave master
Right.
overlords. I can go back on and be fine. But I was like, I'm really curious. And it was kind of a joke, but kind of just for, things that only I would laugh at and find funny. I just like changed my icon and my name because I hadn't done that ever.
Right.
And it was just fun because people, like, I was just tweeting and people were used to me not tweeting already. So having this completely different person on their timeline pop up confused a lot of people. And many people didn't respond to me right away. And then I got this flood of just, oh, it's you. Like, why
Yeah,
didn't you
exactly.
message back? And I was like, I'm just being mean. I'm sorry. I was having way too much fun with having no one know who I was. And it was more just me like waiting to see when people would realize. So,
Yeah.
and since then I've done it to just keep people on their toes because,
Yeah.
you can always that mention and I will always be Nami National on Twitter. But I've also had fun. Like, I think there was the most fun name that I switched my name to. And this was the story behind Namu
Okay.
is Fulner typed at me incorrectly. Instead of saying Nami, he was like Namu, and I was like, "You're trying to talk to my evil twin?" And he was like, "Oh my god, it's totally a typo. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." I'm like, "No, I like Namu. Who would Namu be?" And we decided that Namu would be like completely food obsessed, always tweeting about hamburgers, and would basically be the magical girl that you would hate to be saved by.
Right.
So they're pretty much like if Arnold Schwarzenegger was a magical girl, that's who
Okay.
Namu is.
I
So I
gotcha.
enjoy anytime I get into a Namu phase where I'm just like, evil is bad and eat your hamburgers. It's delicious.
That's great.
Santa's always watching, but Namu always knows. And so it's
Sweet.
fun to just cut loose and have fun on Twitter. I guess it's also a good way. So if someone is just like, oh, this person, unfollow. It's a good excuse if people are like, well, I always wanted a reason to unfollow Nami. Aside from her tweeting entirely too much about random things that are inappropriate.
If
Like,
someone defollows someone on Twitter for tweeting random things, then they're going to be following nobody by the end of the month. That is the point of Twitter.
I know, and I love Twitter for that.
Oh yeah, it's nice.
Yes, I also will say I think Twitter has forced me to become more succinct, so I
Yes,
also
absolutely.
appreciate for that as well.
Yeah, it has really helped my vocabulary work for me. Because I'll
Exactly.
type something out and be like, 8 characters over. Okay, which word have I used that I can use a different word for that means the same thing without
Exactly.
ruining
Or how can
any of them?
I retype this?
Yeah.
I feel that. Well, and it's funny because I used to be only on LiveJournal. So I used to
Okay. Okay.
apparently be really long-winded because when I made the transition, it was awful. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I can't say everything I want to say in 140 characters.
Mm,
And if I mention someone, oh,
yeah.
it took
I
some getting
remember at
into.
one point, Stefan Andrews and I got into a pun war on show staff's names. So we were doing like, oh, I don't know this guy now, but I used to. Peter knew him. And bad puns like that. But every time we would make a pun, we would add that person into the list. So the challenge, I mean, we started with 140 characters, but by the end of it, we had like 24 characters to work with at most, and we had to add a new person. And it was getting to be more and more of a challenge each time.
All I have to say is that is brilliant and amazing, and you both should feel proud with what you have accomplished because
I was proud of it.
puns
Yeah.
are brilliant.
Oh, yes.
And people may take issue with my love of puns, and that's fine. But puns are brilliant. So thank you.
Yay. And I love her to death, but Sibsy's name is really long on Twitter. So once we included her, it kind of
It was game
okay, I've
over.
got 2 characters to work with. Yo, there we go. Okay.
It's like trying to rhyme with orange. You just can't do it. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
exactly.
See,
Well, something you mentioned briefly, your podcast. The name is RabbleBytes.
that is correct.
Oh, can you describe the origin of that name? Honestly, to me, I kind of know, but coming into it, it sounded like the sound that the hamburger makes. Rabble, rabble. So
well,
Rabble
I
Bites,
suppose.
at first glance, I was like, oh, like a little hamburger eating thing. I don't know what.
Well, Jason and I both love our hamburgers, so I'm glad that
Okay.
that association can be made.
Yay!
Hamburgers should be their own food group because they are brilliant and wonderful.
Yeah.
And oh man, if I had only one food that I could eat for the rest of my life, it would be hamburgers, hands down.
As long as we can choose different toppings, I'm in with.
Exactly, exactly. As long as you can choose different toppings and different like patties,
Yeah,
hamburgers for life, man.
absolutely, absolutely.
But
Okay.
I think what it was is I can't even remember how we came up with the name, but I think we were joking around, I believe, on how we would just be like rabbling on about nothing. And I was like,
Okay.
that would be awesome if we can put Rabble somewhere in the title. And I was like, well, it's a digital format. So what type of digital, and basically like I think that's where we came from is you do things in bites on
Gotcha.
digital stuff, and
Right.
we didn't really know what the podcast was going to go towards when we
Mhm.
first started it, so
Okay.
that's why we're like, well, we'll just have it be this general thing, and we still try to keep with the rabbling in general,
Okay. Yeah.
but we do
See,
try
now,
to.
personally, for me, I would say ramble, but when you say rabble, I instantly understand what you're talking about. So
Right,
it's not
exactly.
unclear.
Yeah, I rabble on. It's also, we could be rabble rousers. It
Oh, there we go.
depends on how we want to apply it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, right now it's currently geared towards a creation podcast, so a
Okay.
podcast for someone who is a writer and or artist,
Gotcha.
specifically webcomics, but we
Mhm.
don't want to limit ourselves to that
Right.
because while it's not necessarily a narrow genre, it kind of is at the same time.
Mhm,
So
mhm. And that's been going on almost a year. That's amazing.
it has, yeah.
Weekly? Is it a weekly show?
I think we used to do it weekly,
Mhm.
and then we decided to cut back because we wanted to up the quality of what we talked about versus
Okay.
the quantity of how often we said it.
Right.
So, and we've kind of had to, before, really launching Jazzu, we've kind of had to be quiet because a lot of the stuff that we were doing was behind the scenes work that we now have,
Mhm.
a plethora of topics that we're going to be able to talk about, but we
Right.
didn't want to discuss Jazzu the Wanderer in any terms before we really were ready and had places where people could go and get excited about the project.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but we've moved to twice a week.
Oh, okay.
I know during the Kickstarter and during a lot of the early creation, we're going to try to actually at least live stream weekly so
Oh,
people
wow.
can come and, just see how creation is going, and we can just have some general discussions and, just talk with people outside of what we normally would be able to do with the podcast.
Right.
Right. Which we do record in front of a live studio audience, and
wow.
we encourage a lot of audience participation. So then when I edit it and create the blooper bites, because some of that stuff that we say just shouldn't be in any episode, period. I'm sure you know how that goes. But
yes, yeah.
yeah.
I've got
Well,
clips that are funny, but no, we can't air that. That's no thanks.
Exactly. And that's the nature of, when you get people and
Sure.
they're good natured, maybe exhausted from work or had one too many mimosas. So
yeah. And
thank you, Jason, Mr. Mimosa. But yeah,
mimosa fan? Wait, hold on now. I want to get this clear. You're anti-mimosa?
So I think mimosas are fine.
Okay.
I am just the lightest weight who ever waited. So anytime I lose, I start to get punchy. So
okay.
Just to the delight of many people. Apparently, there's going to be a fun pony convention when I finally attend. So I'm going to apologize for that ahead of time. Any debauchery that happens under my name isn't my fault. Let's blame either Full Papers or Thunderheart at this point.
Yeah, that works.
Because I know one of them will be behind it. So
yeah, sure.
I'm just calling all sorts of people out in this. I apologize.
I just imagine you at this. You get like a drink and a half, and you start to say, "I blame you, and I blame you, and I blame you.
Oh,
I'm
honey,
innocent here."
Let's be honest. It would really just be half a drink,
Okay.
depending on what it was. Yeah. I shame my ancestors. I'm sorry. But hey, the one thing that I do appreciate though is you really save money. I'm just going to put that out.
Yes.
If one beer is all you need, then a $4 tab at the end of the night is quite wonderful.
Maybe not for the bar itself, but yeah.
No, but that's when in social. Anyway, we're going to stop this train before it gets much darker. Oh, into the spotlight. Let's talk about alcohol.
Well, you did mention Tattered. Tattered is your comic.
Yes, it is my current webcomic. It is fantasy in nature. It does not take place on Earth. It is about witches and magic being commonplace and something that everyone can do.
Okay.
And yeah, it's actually I gave myself that project to get back into the creation of comics. I had lapsed for a while, and so I actually really struggled with a lot of it when it first was coming to light. So I was able to use it to grow in a lot of areas, and I'm proud of the work that I did on it, but I'm going to be really excited to be able to focus on it because I think I did take a mild hiatus with it before I started up the Jazzu work.
Right.
And I think that a lot of stuff that I was realizing while working on it finally clicked. And I'm at a spot now where professionally I feel comfortable being able to work on that stuff and do that and show that work instead of just being like, so I'm kind of throwing stuff around in the dark, hoping that some of us like sticks the barn wall, but so yeah, and I do actually hope that once I get Jazzu managed, I can then turn back and begin working on that. I have a few people who lightly, chide me for putting it on a hiatus for as long as I
come on.
Yeah, I say that because I do know that it's in jest, and I know that they mean it because it's a story that's interesting to them, and it's something that they do really want to see continue.
Right.
At the same time, they also realize Nami has a bunch of other stuff she's working on besides her full-time job. So,
well, honestly, I really think that On Hiatus would be an excellent name for a webcomic because so many of them do go on hiatus.
I should totally just save that and just never update. I'll be like, all right, this is going to be an amazing webcomic on hiatus.
just one massive spread of introducing the characters and then, sorry, on hiatus.
You may find this ironic, but on hiatus is
Is on hiatus.
on hiatus
Mm.
until further notice, and then just never start it up again and make everyone hate me. No, that would be horrible. But I have to admit, I would laugh. I think that would be brilliant.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Or
we're
just
trademarking
update it
that
every week, but just update it with a new on hiatus message.
that would be brilliant and horrible.
Yep.
Oh,
Get guest artists to come in and say it's still on hiatus, and Christmas special, Christmas tree on hiatus, and
a little jack-o'-lantern carved into it. Hiatus.
yeah.
Yes. Well, and I will admit, too, for me, it is kind of I don't want to say shameful in a negative way, but I do feel bad that I have to have, one of my projects taking a break therefrom.
Mm-hmm.
However, at the same time, it's like, I know that when I return to it, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Me returning to it isn't a question at this point, because I'm still getting story ideas. I'm still fleshing out a lot of work behind the scene with Tattered. Right. It's just, to err is human, and I'm very human. So,
and it sounds like you still have a drive to do this webcomic.
Oh yes,
is the main thing. I mean, there are a lot of webcomics who go on hiatus and they'll update with something, but it's like you can tell they don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah,
and they can't find a graceful exit for it.
Exactly. I'm so excited to tell this story, and there's a lot of things that I sit there, and when I think about Tattered, I'm like, oh, and I can't wait till we get to this, and then there's this, and then there's this, and I'm just like, wow, I should really work on that. And then I look at the pile of work that I'm currently doing and going, yeah, you kind of planned that wrong, didn't you? Shame. So, I mean, them ponies ain't gonna draw themselves. Just saying, no.
Well, I don't know, if you get one of the artist ponies working on it, they might be able to draw that. That would be a freaky picture, a pony drawing itself. That would be awesome, but still terrifying.
Horse-drawn carriages in.
Yeah. Well, one of the big things that you're working on now, and we've mentioned it briefly a few times, is Jazzu. Now, I want to make sure that the pronunciation is correct. It's Jazzu, as in like jazz music. Ooh, Jazzu.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
It's Jazzu. Jazu. Mm-hmm. For those of you wondering how to spell that out, super difficult, I know.
Well, I mean, it could be Jazzu, could be Jazu.
Right, exactly. But no, I've heard the writers say Jazzu, so that's how I'm parroting it back to everyone else.
Okay.
And when I see it written, that's how I would honestly pronounce it as well. So.
Well, tell us about this project, Jazzu the Wanderer.
Oh, goodness gracious. It is. Right now, you have caught me during the transition from doing a bunch of the back end work where, finding the printer, figuring out all of the merchandising that we hope to do for the project, setting up the dates, really finalizing, character sketches.
Right.
A bunch of the stuff that you don't normally see, but a lot of the work that goes into it. And now I'm transitioning over to full-on production mode, which is, churning out a bunch of the comic pages so we can actually have content. It is, and okay. So basically the story is Jazzu is a 12-year-old boy, and he is from outer space, and he crash lands on Earth.
Okay.
And it's going to be the telling of him getting from Egypt, where he crash lands, to where the rest of his people are.
Oh, okay.
And the story takes place in 1926. Okay. I'm super excited. So it's basically historical fiction, which makes me it's a historical sci-fi fiction story.
Okay.
And, he's going to be making friends along the way. He's going to have enemies because, strange people crashing in from outer space is weird, and they're going to have fantastical technology, obviously, that didn't exist in 1926. Right. So there's going to be some of
like
that.
iPhones and microwave ovens and stuff.
Yes, he actually crash lands in a microwave oven.
Wow, cool. Okay.
That's a lie. But it's just, I've read up to chapter 7, and I'm super excited. The first 3 issues.
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify. Is this going to be a novel or a graphic novel, or?
It's going to be a graphic novel, and we also hope to do 2 things. We're going to have it free to read online, and we're also going to have a print copy launch at the same time. So
Oh,
we're
okay, okay.
100, or we're gonna have the first 3 issues done, and each issue is 25 pages.
Okay.
So we have the first 75 pages done uh,
Uh,
and released online the same time we premiere the book, and then we're
okay.
going to carry on into what we consider book 2, which will be 3 issues long as well. There's going to be 7 books, I believe,
Oh,
but
wow.
20 chapters because the last chapter is actually a double issue.
Okay.
So instead of 25 pages, it's really going to be 50.
50, right.
There's going to be a lot. This is going to be a
Yeah.
very intense project. I'm super excited because I get to work in color. Um, well, I love color. I think color is amazing. You can
Sure.
use color to do a lot of things. It can help set moods. It can
Hmm.
help tell you just stories about people
Yeah,
and
yeah.
culture and just ah.
Well, sure. I mean, as much as we love Pony, I'm not sure it would have quite the same effect if it was completely black and white.
I know, right? Well, I mean, just look at the what was it? The second episode where
Discord, yeah.
just
Discord
raining
took their
at
color.
vaudeville ponies. I'm sure. Well, maybe we'll see. I don't know how vaudeville ponies would fare actually, but
Mm.
eh.
And you have started a Kickstarter for this project, correct?
Yes, by the time this airs, our Kickstarter should be going, fingers
Hmm.
crossed, as any superstorms decide to ravage through New York again and completely obliterate
One is
everything.
enough.
Well, I mean, I do understand, every once in a while you're going to have that 100-year storm, but
Yeah.
it really just put a huge kink in all of our plans. So we're
Mhm.
kind of getting everything sorted out on this end, but I do think in the end it's actually going to be stronger with what's represented. So
Wow.
mixed
Okay.
blessing. We're really happy about that.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be doing a Kickstarter for it. Printing books costs money,
Sure.
and unfortunately, I am not made of money, which
Hmm.
is sad. I know it's very sad. I have not found the money tree. When I find it,
To
I
be
may.
honest, I think I would be terrified to meet somebody who was made of money.
That would be horrific,
Because
wouldn't
every time they went shopping, like, well, all right, 8 fingers now.
it? No, my mental image was to just kind of like, and like money fell out of their mouth. Just they were like, hold on, I have to count it, and
That also horrifying, yes.
that's amazing. Oh,
Money
sorry.
zombies just going on. Brah, $1.50. Here you go.
Zombies. Monies. We need this to exist so I can have time and just make them vomit for me because wow, I'm sorry. This is going to be a very interesting episode for you to edit. I wish you all of the luck.
Please,
Well, no,
we lost sight of the original track long ago. Let's just keep going on whatever this is. Let's find out where it leads.
this will be magnificent regardless.
Yeah.
To be honest, I do say, I do mention the money thing, but we have also noticed that people, when you launch a Kickstarter, people get excited about a project. And we're really hoping to actually be very upfront with what the project is and
Yeah.
what we hope to bring to people,
Mm-hmm.
and have that be a way to actually drive readership and involvement.
Oh,
We're hoping that someone who normally wouldn't see the projects that we're working on through the normal channels
yeah.
will be trolling through on Kickstarter and say, hey, this is a really interesting project. I hope I can get, let's read up on this. And if they're excited enough, I hope that we will actually build retention with the Kickstarter
Sure.
to get
Sure.
people who aren't the people who frequent RabbleBytes, aren't the people on my Twitter feed wondering who is this ham sandwich tweeting at them,
Right.
going,
Right.
oh, this is really cool. So
Hmm.
we're actually really hoping we're kind of using Kickstarter in a way to market ourselves as well
Okay.
as to also build excitement about the project.
Sure. Sure.
So
Well, and you mentioned it to me before we started, but beyond of course, you're looking for funding, of course.
right,
But
right.
beyond that, you're also looking for people who might be interested in becoming involved in the project.
Exactly. Yeah. What we plan on doing is right now we do have a schedule for what art needs to be made, and I'm adhering to that schedule so far, but I've
Right.
also noticed we want to do prints and we want to do chapter covers, but I've
Mhm.
noticed that I might not know what would be exciting for other people to hang on their wall. So that's where we want the involvement in, because
Right.
I want to be able to show a bunch of sketches and say, hey, here's my idea for the issue 2 cover. Like,
Right.
here's 5 choices. Which one do you guys like? Like, which one do you gravitate to? Which one would you be proud to hang on your wall? Or
Yeah.
which one's the
Sure.
most engaging? Like, if this were to be on a shelf and
Hmm.
if you were to see that, would that make you go, huh, what's the rest of that? Like,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
behind? And I find that if you ask the people who are interested and excited about this stuff, you're going to get honest answers. They're going to
Yes.
say, hey, I love all of your work, so
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
really hard for me to choose, but this one right over here is the one that I am all about. And
Yeah.
so that's how we're trying to really get involvement, is to get
Mm-mm.
people to not help us create, but to guide the creation to a
Sure.
product that they want. And I've noticed that people get really excited when they're like, I helped choose which version of this. And
Yeah.
I will say that that's really hard, because when you're given something and if you like all of it,
Mhm, mhm.
choosing just one does suck, because you're like,
Well,
but I
sure.
want all of it to be real.
Right, right.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we want people to be as proud, or to be proud to be involved with this project, as we're as proud to like produce it. So
That's
I mean, money is an issue, because
right.
obviously, like I said, really it's just the books.
Mhm.
And I am so excited about the books. I cannot wait to use this printer. uh, I actually we did an entire RabbleBytes episode on printers, and
Wow.
I don't know if I expressed it, but this was a printer that I did not expect to be our printer,
Oh, okay.
because they had their website design is a little lackluster. But
Uh-huh.
when I really got down to it, they were always professional. They were always kind. They
Mhm.
answered every one of my questions and didn't make me feel like an idiot.
Oh. So I guess it could be kind of compared to that little hole in the wall restaurant it's got just the itty
Exactly.
bitty sign on the outside, and you come in and it's just like a folding chair and a table, but amazing food.
Exactly. And in all honesty, I think part of the reason why their website isn't as, flashy as
Hmm.
other places is because they're just doing so much work and they just haven't had time.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
they apparently they when you go and you read their review section, it's
Hmm.
stupid long. So you know that they're
Wow.
doing a lot of work, and it's just,
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to build a relationship with them, because we're eventually looking at doing hardcover books.
Hmm.
Hoping to compile a lot of the soft bounds that we do and make some nice hardcover volumes that will be able to sit on someone's shelf and kind of
Okay.
they become a dusty old book in the future. A lot of options for the hardcover, and I can put foil on stuff, and that excites me.
Oh yeah.
That's my geeky artist coming out. I love
Uh-uh.
paper.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't. I'm. I almost feel like I cannot do the project justice, because I'm
yeah.
so excited to start working on it. So,
Well, definitely. I mean, you're not objective about it, to be sure, but at the
like,
same time, your excitement is genuine. I mean, it is showing.
well, and I do try to hold back, because I don't want to just be all like,
Why? Go to, oh, okay, all right.
like, I don't want to overwhelm people with how intense I can be about this stuff. I'm
Okay,
not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just
right.
saying that I understand that people don't always want to hear about how excited I am to draw a sci-fi historical story.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I'm really excited.
Yeah, and it shows. Yeah,
I'm
yeah. It sounds really exciting.
also
Yay.
excited to draw season 3 art. I can't wait.
Yes. Yeah. And by
Enjoy,
the time this airs, you will have completed several works, I'm sure.
and I'll be chiding myself greatly, because I should probably be working on Jazu and Tattered and all of my other stuff. But whatever, ponies.
Combine them. Jazzu can find a pony.
I haven't done that. That should be a great excuse.
Yeah.
Jason's also a brony, if you will.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure that if I just ponify Jazu, I'll be able to let that slide. No, we have to make sure that we have the pony version of Jazu, because
Mhm,
while he might not show up as a pony anywhere in the story,
mhm, mhm.
there's a camel, Jason. This is
Yes.
important.
Sure.
I'm really excited. I can't wait for season 3. I have no idea what they're going to do with us. I've been avoiding a lot of the spoilers, so I've seen a
I
few things.
absolutely agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
I proclaim it every night on Twitter. I said, you talk about whatever you like, mention whatever you like, but if you're going to do spoilers, I'm going to unfollow you. And if you tweet them directly to me, I'm going to block you. It's just that easy. I don't want to know.
yeah. Well, I kind of see spoilers on the internet as being like, you can take precautions, but sometimes you're going to stumble onto it.
Well, sure. Yeah. And it's not that anybody wants to, but like, okay, I read very quickly. So if I'm just scrolling through and there's something like, uh,
Right.
episode 2 title released, and it has the title right under there, I'm like, no, don't want to know. Too late. I read it. Too late. I know it already. Darn it.
And now I know exactly how it ends.
Well, maybe, of course, not exactly how it ends, but
I
even if you
know.
get the title, you can, your brain starts going, oh, it's probably this, and maybe this, and probably this happens. And,
Exactly.
I accept that some of it's going to get through, but I'm still going to keep trying to put as many sandbags as possible on this flood.
Well, may your levees hold, kind sir.
Thank you.
You only have a few more days left.
Yes, yes, as of recording this, we have just under a week.
I know. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Muppet off the screen as soon
Oh,
as
yeah.
we have this conversation and just like sob in the corner about ponies.
Well,
Season 3.
well, one thing that I do ask in most of my interviews, and I'm curious as to your answer. What is the one scene or one line in My Little Pony that defines you as a brony?
Oh man, this is like a train moment where like the train's coming at you and all you can do is stare. Because I
The, so so okay, well let's take it from a different side. If somebody who is possibly a less, just became a brony or is kind of interested but not quite a brony, when they ask you about it, what is the first image, scene, or line or whatever that pops into your head?
okay, this is where I get to gloat a little bit.
Oh,
I actually did help someone convert an entire class
wow.
into being bronies.
Goodness.
Um, my friend Jaime, he he was trying to show it because My Little Pony has amazing animation,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
he was tasked with teaching an animation class, and he
Oh,
came to me and he was like, "What are some of the best episodes that you would recommend?" And I said, "Well, it depends." And I sent him a laundry list of 10,
yeah.
and when these episodes if you like this person, this episode if you like this pony,
Hmm.
but these are my top 3 that
Okay.
I would watch regardless. So if someone were to be like, hey, I'm kind of interested in this pony stuff,
Mhm.
where is a good place to start? I would go, well, start at the beginning, the
Yeah.
first 2,
Okay. Okay.
because it gives you a good idea without really getting into character background.
Okay. Okay.
um and I think, well, yes, the first 2 by comparison, I think are no longer the strongest of the episodes, but I think
Okay.
it's a good starting point for anyone.
Sure. Sure.
However, and now you've given me the challenge, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out like what is that moment where when I saw it. Okay, I actually this is going to be really depressing actually, but
Oh,
I
no, no,
know
no.
that
Go for it. Go for it.
a lot of people really identified with this scene,
Okay.
and I was really surprised, and it made me feel good, not because a lot of people identified with it,
Mm-hmm.
but because I realized I wasn't as alone as I thought I was.
Oh, very touching. Now I have to know.
Right. So yeah, and a lot of people will say that this was also their turning point for a certain pony when they
Mm.
experienced this. I know I'm failing it, so everyone's all like, "What is it? What is it?" A lot of people probably already
I'm
figured
very
it out.
tempted to just suddenly cut out and say next time the conclusion,
And on next week,
but I won't do
um,
that.
right? But it would be the party of one,
Okay.
where Pinkie Pie convinces herself that her friends don't like her and don't want to attend her parties anymore.
Oh.
And just where she's heartbroken, and just the rest of the episode she's slowly going insane because the
Mm-hmm.
entire world that she thought that she had, her friends that she thought that she had, she's
Mm-hmm.
convinced herself that no, like that was all a joke, people don't really like her, they were just humoring her, and she's not as up there as she thinks she is. But
Okay.
it was also nice for her to do the turnaround and realize, no, no, that was just her reading
Mm-hmm.
into something
Yeah.
and making it more than she should have. So that
Uh,
is one of my more personal episodes. I will admit I did totally like choke up on the whole, like, I have been there,
mm-hmm.
girl, you are singing my song. Like, and thank you, Pinky, for not only showing me that you are as neurotic as I am, but thank you for showing me you can turn that around. You can get out of that headspace. It
Yep.
isn't all about you being, it's not all about that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
take the moment to remind yourself, is this real, or is this me reading into stuff and making this worse than it needs to be?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I would have to say that for me,
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the strongest things I have seen in My Little Ponies, because it just hit me on such a personal level of, holy cow, wow.
That's totally me. I totally do that. Absolutely. Yep.
Right. Well, it was just, it
Oh
was
yeah, yeah.
such a strong.
I mean, I used a terrible voice there, but it's absolutely serious.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But then when I went online, because I was like, oh, well, I bet everyone else didn't really like that episode. And when I just saw droves of people going, holy crap, like they get it, I was like, wow. Like, I think that we need to realize how many people are saying this and appreciate that, but also be sensitive to the fact that so many people can identify with that.
Yes.
I think that that speaks on a deeper level, something much stronger than we realized. And so now I try to do that. Like, I try to reconnect with people. If I feel like maybe I haven't, hey, I haven't spoken to so and so in so long, I need to reconnect with them just to make sure that they remember, like,
Yeah.
I'm here for them. Because ever since seeing that, it was just like, oh man, wow, I would hate for anyone to feel that way about me.
Right, right.
Like, man, Nami's just, she's a fair weather Nami. Because no, like, if I talk with you and if I interact with you, it's not because I'm doing it to be nice. It's because I genuinely find you interesting and would like to know more.
Right, right.
Oh gosh, I'm getting a little verklempt. I'm so sorry.
All the feels, all the feels.
Episode.
Back to excited about Jazu. Back to excited about Jazu. Jazu's coming. Jazu's coming.
Let's move from depression. No. Like, I think that it ended on a positive note. And for
Oh yeah.
me, like, I'm not done talking about this episode. I'm sorry. For me, that was a turning point for me, because I was on the fence about Pinky. I was like, all right, she's really just kind of a gag character. She's on, she's there, and I understand why she's there, and she's more, there for a device of telling stories. And once I saw that, I was like, oh God, she's a real person that has feel. And I say person, but I mean, obviously she's a pony who has real feelings and
Right,
is
but
personal.
as opposed to a one-sided character, wow, this character has depth, actually.
Exactly. Instead of being the Looney Tunes throwback throwaway that,
Right.
I won't say I completely wrote her off, because I found her antics to be charming and, if not thought provoking. I find her to be the intelligent trickster, if you will, kind of the coyote of the pack,
Sure.
because she'll never give you the answer straight up. You have to work for it, like in the Parasite episode. She has the answer. So if you just turn to her and go, hey, Pinky, anyway.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to plug while you're here that I haven't mentioned? We've got Jazu and the Kickstarter coming. Everybody, seriously, go to the Kickstarter. I know you've said you've got a lot of stretch goals planned.
Yes, we have a few stretch goals, because we're really hoping that while we'll make goal, we're really excited to make beyond that.
Yeah.
The stretch goal, or the goal that we have, is really the ideal. I shouldn't say it's the ideal, but it's the starting ideal that we have. I won't say that the stretch goals won't happen. It's just they won't happen right away, because that's obviously going to be something we're going to need to build up to.
Sure,
but,
sure.
We analyzed, what would we need to make a strong start and to represent, this current property that we're doing in the best. We need all of these things. Okay, that's what we're going for. So, as for other things that I guess I could shamelessly plug,
sure,
is just RabbleBytes. That's really going to be the house of operations, or the HQ, if you will, for until we launch the webcomic. I don't know if after that it's really going to separate all that much, but I do know that we're going to be hosting the comic outside of the podcast that we do. So you'll be able to go there, and you won't have to listen to us droning on.
Okay, so it's not going to be RabbleJazuBytes.
Yeah, it's not going to be no
Which
jazz.
Honestly sounds like the coolest Pokemon ever.
RabbleJazuBytes. Your Pokemon is evolving. No, I need to learn a skill first.
So everybody, do check out the Kickstarter. Throw in a few bucks if you can. It looks like it's going to be a wonderful project when it gets finished. Actually, it looks wonderful now. It looks like the final product's going to be amazing.
Oh, you honor me so much. Thank you so much.
It's cool. It looks cool.
I will say, it's just really, it's gratifying for me to turn around and say, hey, this looks good, because usually, as you know, many artists are cursed with the mindset of the artist of everything I do is horrible, because
you are your own worst critic.
Exactly. Absolutely. So it's been very uplifting to be able to work at a lot of the hard work that I've been doing and go, you are working hard and you are working well. Like, this stuff is coming out this is coming out good. Like, you're doing good work. You're doing solid work. You're proud to show this. You're proud to print this.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just to have other people respond in kind just is more gratification than I need, but I'll take it. So, yeah. So thank you. But
Yeah. Now, here's a quick question. On your DeviantArt, obviously you're incredibly busy right now with Yazoo, but when that gets going, will you reopen for commissions or not?
Yes, I actually am hoping, because I have a few more commissions I need to hit up, and I greatly appreciate all of the patience and kindness that my commissioners have had with me, because this Kickstarter and doing a bunch of research for Yazoo was more work than I anticipated. Granted, I will admit I probably made it twice as hard as I needed to be. However, if you cannot push that rock up the mountain,
keep trying. Oh, no, wait, never mind.
Exactly. Anyway, I do hope to be able to get things managed to a point where I will be able to open up for maybe a few like random ones. I'm actually really new to commissioning, because I'm trying to figure out what is the best balance between me and doing commission work.
Right.
I've noticed that I really do enjoy commissions. It is a nice break, because it's stuff that I would not think to draw normally. So I've enjoyed every single commission that I have done, and I've been flattered that people have wanted to commission me for things. Like, they like me enough to pay me to draw them something. Like, that makes me happy. And I know a lot of people, and at least with the level that I'm at, I know that people are like, well, we want to support you. It's not really what you draw.
Right.
That, again, just, you get validating. Thank you so much. So I do hope to actually open up for commissions, and with the schedule that I have, I should be able to do that. I'm not saying when, because I'm one of those people who firmly believes if you talk a little too in the future, then basically fate will turn around and say, yeah, remember that day? I'm going to make you terrible about that.
Let's break that right now. What are you going to do for the 2-year anniversary of RabbleBytes?
Oh dear.
No. Never mind.
I will learn how to sit on a unicycle.
Ooh. It's easier when you ride them, but sitting on it would be a challenge too. Yeah.
Well, I may have people holding me.
Okay.
But I don't even know where I'd get a unicycle. So I've oh goodness. Maybe I'll actually play okay, I sing a lot on RabbleBytes. I sing stupid little ditties because I just fabulous. If you've seen my Twitter feed, every once in a while it breaks out into random song that doesn't have anything to do with anything. Right. But hopefully for the 2nd-year anniversary or the 2-year anniversary of RabbleBytes, I'll have learned to play my ukulele competently. I can, make noises with it at this point, but it is very unkind to a screeching cat. And honestly, my cats wonder what I'm trying to do.
All right. Well, let's see. People can find you on Twitter if they can discern which one is yours.
Right. I'm my spider pony OC, and it looks like she's talking. I have to laugh because it looks like I'm glaring at everyone with my icon. And I feel really bad because I'm like, oh, I didn't realize. But it makes me giggle because I feel like I'm some evil mastermind typing away behind the keyboard.
I think it worked really well for the Halloween season.
It did. I will probably change it up and have a much nicer, smilier, happier OC. But yes.
But everybody can find you on Twitter and DeviantArt, and I think you have a Tumblr as well.
I do. My Tumblr is a lot more random stuff, and I am not as good as posting there. Really, DeviantArt and Twitter are my two mainstays as it is right now. Also, if it helps you, I can give you all the links, or I can just say them now. So
we'll put them at the bottom. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And RabbleBytes, the podcast, is weekly or twice a week, or heck, by the time this airs, might even be 4 times a week live stream. I don't know.
Goodness gracious. No, I am putting an axe in that right now. Never be 4 times a week, because that would exhaust me. Yes. But you can find me on those 2 places at Nami National, and usually I'll tweet to let you know. We do try and do recordings, or we do recordings on Thursdays. That's our recording day. Right. So on the days that we're not necessarily recording an episode, we may decide to do a live stream. Okay. So just follow Jason or I on the Twitters, and I've been working at being a lot better at giving both a heads up and more exposure right before we record, because I think that's one of the things that I personally have been really bad at, is usually I'll be like, 6 hours before, but not remind anyone until like, oh, hey, we're going live. So I work at being much better at that, and I apologize. So.
All right, so we can follow you on Twitter, DeviantArt. Check out the RabbleBytes podcast. Be sure to kick in a few dollars for the Jazzu the Wanderer Kickstarter, which should be approaching the home stretch by the time this airs. Ooh.
Yay!
Hopefully already funded, but even if so, go for it. There might be another stretch goal that they're just keeping secret. You never know.
Well, and I will want to say, I do appreciate anything that anyone can help out with, but really, I completely understand if you can't. So I would also just appreciate, drumming up more support for it, and maybe just following and getting excited about just the comic in general. Yay, webcomics are free. So, yes. Well, money is always appreciated. I more appreciate just support in general. So
yes.
Thank you so much. Thank
so
you.
Everybody go give as much support as you can, because it's
exactly.
important.
Even if it's a quippy tweet, I'll take it.
Sure, why not? All right, everybody, this has been Into the Spotlight with OsakaJack. Today I've been talking with Nami. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for everyone who has taken the time to listen.
Thank you very much, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.